Hello, my name is Harper, and I am a transgender man. And today I was kind of reflecting on my transition and how that has affected me and how much better my life is now. But also in that I was also thinking about how dysphoria has really influenced my life and how it influenced my behavior and the things that I did and the way that I felt pre-transition and stuff like that, and even before just top surgery and after testosterone. So I kind of wanted to have a very candid conversation about that. This video will not be very concise and will be quite rambly and will probably be all over the place. So if you don't like videos like that, then bye. Also, big disclaimer, this is just about me and my dysphoria. Obviously, I can't speak for everyone, and this does not apply to everyone. So, yeah, don't go applying all of this to other people. So the thing that really stands out in my mind is clothing choices, because that's a very overt, obvious thing that has changed as I've transitioned. If you look back at my previous videos, you can see that I have a lot of black clothing, and a lot of it has, designs on the front, both to keep it interesting and just happen to be things that I either enjoy or that I support, or from their mementos or something, but also just because, one, black clothing, hides things, and two, the graphics and text and whatever also hides things, especially when you shrug forward and you're it just kind of glances off your chest, and yeah, so that was a big thing. I wore a lot of black. I wore a lot of hoodies. I remember even before I knew that it was gender dysphoria that I was feeling, I remember wearing lots of hoodies. I would literally just go to Value Village and buy men's large hoodies. And I don't know, if I can find a picture here, I'll insert it, but they obviously didn't look very good. But that was the only way that I felt comfortable. I both passed it off as, and also genuinely felt that I was oh, I just really like comfy sweaters. They're so, I really like large sweaters and I feel so comfy and warm. And yeah, I did feel like that, but also the reasoning behind that was that I was so uncomfortable with my body and I didn't like to show it, and so just getting these oversized sweaters would hide my body and stuff, and it would hide especially my chest. My chest is the biggest thing I have had dysphoria about since I was literally 10, when I learned that I would start to grow breasts in the future. Clothing is a very big thing that has changed for me. Obviously, I'm wearing a white t-shirt today. I would never, ever have done that before I transitioned. Also, after I figured out I was trans, I didn't have access to a binder until I was in first year of university, and even then I couldn't bind all the time, just because of how it affects my ribs and how it affects my breathing. Binding for me was very painful, and binding for me was not something I could do all the time, and so my clothing choices really, really coincided with how much I could bind that day, how much I felt terrible about my body and terrible about my chest and stuff. It literally textbook dysphoria, distress about the disconnect, and distress brought on by the disconnect between my brain and my body and how that doesn't match up and stuff. And so that distress for me manifested as hating and being so severely uncomfortable to the point where I would literally wear sweaters, big sweaters, fluffy sweaters, during the summer. And I know this is a very common thing for trans guys. I would wear sweaters during the summer when I could not bind, and obviously that's not very good for you. I had to drink a lot of water. I had to, not be in the sun a lot. I also picked up some clothing that really helped with my dysphoria and really helped hide my chest. I'll even find some for you now. These two shirts were lifesavers for me. So I got this shirt. It's too long for me, honestly, but I didn't care. It's got, I don't know, it's got a hood, and it's sleeveless, and it's just this, like, thing that just, like, just goes straight down, and it was really good for hiding my chest while, like, and being warm. And it also covered any kind of straps that I had from either sports bras or binders, which is what I primarily wore. And same with this one. Well, the other one is kind of more canvasy. This one is it's thick, and it fits like a sweater, just without the sleeves. So you can, if you're trans and you know how, sweaters sit on your chest and stuff, you can tell, like, how much this was a really big lifesaver. So yeah, like, binding really affected what clothes I wore. And then that also affected just, like, the things that I could do. So, for example, I was very, very uncomfortable swimming because, what do you wear when you go swimming? You want to wear, like, minimal clothing. You want to wear a bathing suit and stuff like that. And so I was so uncomfortable wearing swimsuits. I honestly felt way better in a bikini than a one piece, because one pieces I really, really, really associate with, I don't know, women, females, girls, whatever. And so even if a one piece bathing suit would be better for flattening out my chest, I just, like, cannot go near those things. I hate them with a passion. I would usually wear a bikini top and bottoms with board shorts and a tank top, or like a rash guard swim shirt. And towards the end, like, I don't think I've gone swimming really in public since, I want to say, like, 2 years ago, like 2 to 3 years ago. Yeah, so obviously that's affected how I do things as well, and what things I do. And I love swimming. I love swimming so much, and I'm so excited to get back into it again and, like, go to the beach and, like, swim in, like, the pool at my school, stuff like that. Another way that affects me is just, like, exercising and what kind of exercise I do, or what activities I go and do. Like, I have to, like, it was just second nature to look at my day and plan my clothing accordingly, or plan what I could do or couldn't do based on whether I could bind or I couldn't bind. And that's another thing, like, you are not allowed to bind, like, wear a binder while you're exercising. You can use, you can open chest bind with tape and exercise, like, that's alright, because it's not the way that open chest binding is, it doesn't, like, squeeze your ribs as long as you're not putting the tape all around you. Like, that's a big no-no, don't do that. Like, it should just be here to here, so you can do that. But with a binder, it's literally just a vest around you that's squeezing your chest down. And so that affects how you breathe, and it affects your ribs, and it's very dangerous and very much not recommended to exercise in a binder. I would have to wear sports bra or open chest bind while exercising, and I didn't do a lot of sports for years because I couldn't bind. I did dance from ages 11 to 17 or 18, and then I also did gymnastics from, like, 4 to 11, but I didn't have a lot of dysphoria around that time. After high school, I just have not gone back to doing that, even though I love it. Like, I really want to get back into so many things. Now that I've had top surgery, I really want to get back into dance this September, when I'm, like, 6 months post-op and I'm really allowed to raise my arms everywhere and have full mobility. And I want to get back into, like, things like hiking and dirt bike riding and biking and swimming, and all of these things I couldn't do because of, my dysphoria and just like that. I never thought about, like, how much that really ruled my life until afterwards, and now I'm just like, there's so many things that I'm just like, I'm so looking forward to doing, and some things that I actually am doing, and I'm really excited about that. So yeah, those are, like, the big things that really affected me, and very overt things, and of like, how dysphoria really affected me. Some more kind of subtle things, how my kind of social transition has gone, and how things like testosterone has affected me. It's kind of interesting how, because I transitioned in a very transitional period in my life, like starting university and, moving out of my house into residency, and then moving out of residency into my own apartment with my partner, also starting a new relationship, things like that. And so it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly what things have changed because of transition and what things have changed because I'm just growing up and maturing as a person, and that like my life has just changed and I've been forced to change. One thing that I definitely think testosterone and transition has really helped is my self-confidence. And that has not only helped, me be happier and stuff, but it's also been really good for my anxiety and any kind of depressive things that I had. And so those just like debilitating experiences have like not vanished, but they have lessened so much that I feel like very free. Before testosterone, before transition, before, all of these changes to my life, I was a super anxious person that like could not talk to strangers. I was anxious ordering food. I was anxious asking for help from literally anybody. I was anxious to talk to people a lot of the time. I hated my voice. I hated like my body. I hated how I looked. And a lot of times, like even before I knew I was trans, I've always been quite a masculine person. And I, was a tomboy as a kid. And when I started going through puberty and when I kind of was in like adolescence, there was a lot of pressure to be really feminine. And I was also in what I thought was like a heterosexual relationship at the time when I was 15 until I was 17. And nothing against them or anything like that is totally separate, but I definitely felt the compulsory heterosexuality, that kind of feeling of like, you're a girl with a man, you should be more girly, and then just like pressure from like family and just kind of general society. We live in a society. Just to be more feminine. And so I had a phase where I like really tried to embrace my femininity. I tried to dress really cute because I was like a cute person. I was a very small I was a small girl, so I tried to like be really cute and feminine. I wore skirts and I wore like short shorts and I wore like knee-high socks. Always wear flowers in my hair, and I was so unhappy with that phase of my life. I don't know, I knew that I was unhappy, and I knew that I really disliked my body, and I knew that I really was super uncomfortable with myself, and I thought that maybe that was because of like the more masculine features of my body. Like I've never been super curvy. I've always had really broad shoulders, like for a female, for a girl, and I've kind of always had quite a masculine, just like physically masculine streak to me, and I'm quite muscular, things like that. And I thought that that was what was wrong with me, and so I tried to overcompensate, like in a feminine way. And then I just like, after I broke up with my ex, I started to really accept that maybe I was not a girl. I swam through a lot of labels in my journey to figure out that I was a trans guy. That was such a big part of my life, was just feeling the uncomfortable feelings, feeling the distress, feeling the dysphoria, and then trying to fix it, but in the wrong way, basically. After testosterone, I felt so much better about myself, my voice. I still went through quite a phase of kind of overcompensating the other way, to being very masculine, and again, I still wore like the hoodies, the black shirts, that kind of thing. And another thing I wore was like lots of button-ups. I think that's a really trans thing. After tea as well, I found that tea didn't like fix my anxiety, but I feel like I am a lot less anxious. Just first and foremost, I am a lot less anxious, and it's a lot less debilitating, to the point where I feel like I don't necessarily have like an anxiety disorder. And I did try things beforehand to help my anxiety because it got to the point where it was so debilitating I just couldn't live my life properly. But testosterone definitely is the thing that like has gotten me over the edge of my anxiety, and I'm like loving my life and living my life so much better. So yeah, that was really long and rambly. I will cut that down shorter. But yeah, this has been kind of interesting. I've been doing a lot of reflection over the last couple months since top surgery, and since I've been able to really come into myself and really been able to live my life now that I'm post-transition. I don't know. Are you ever post-transition? We'll see. For now, I'm very satisfied with what I've done in terms of transition, and yeah, this just period of reflection has been really nice, and this period of exploration and coming into myself has been such a nice thing. It's been such a nice thing. Insert calls to action here. Go do the things that you want to do in terms of interaction with this video or me or whatever. And I will see you at some point. Peace.